Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to go there again. We're going to talk about AI art bans, and one convention in particular, GalaxyCon, is announcing a sweeping AI art ban. This is probably in response to the debacle at DragonCon this past weekend, where an AI artist was kicked from the show and the police were called. And then a week before that at Fan Expo, we had a corporation, I think it was Bell Canada, doing AI caricatures or something, which is basically just a filter. I mean, let's be honest. But they were doing that and artists were having a problem there and they called the police. So rather than deal with that, I think they're like, you know what, let's just make it clear we're banning AI art so we don't have to have this.
But here's the thing. Like, okay, well, first of all, if they specify and spell it out in their terms ahead of time, then they have the right to ban it. But what I think is going to happen is you're going to have the narcs, people who are mad that people are outselling them, and they're going to go around saying stuff's AI even if it isn't.
Yeah. So that's
too good. It has to be AI.
I mean, oh God. So this whole thing, like, I mean, I know for a while they were trying to like get Greg Land. They didn't want Greg Land tabling at conventions because they accused him of being a tracer and all this stuff. You know, it's just like, okay. I guess that's I'm with you on that one. I'm like, where do we draw a line? Now, if they're saying, hey, you can't do AI art, for now.
How do you know?
How do you know?
Sometimes you can tell. Sometimes, I mean, it's obvious. But there are people that are not using AI that are being accused of AI because it's too, quote unquote, too good.
Yeah.
Or they can do some neat things with effects and stuff that you can't do. They can just be using basic Photoshop tools or other kinds of tools. They just use it in a unique way. Who's to say that someone's not going to look at that and then accuse them of AI and try to get them kicked out? And I think we're going to see an uptake of people, even though the guidelines say no AI. How do you prove that you did it? You don't have your stuff right there. You don't have your tablets and stuff right there. How do you prove on the spot that your stuff isn't AI?
That's where it's going to get really tricky. Because I mean, it's gotten to a point where we've got low IQ people accusing publishers of producing AI artwork in 2014.
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
do I think the publishers are using it now? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do
100%.
I think they used it in 2014? No, it was just using tools that were available to them at the time, which are
Digital
still available. And like, again, this goes back to what you said. When the digital painting stuff came on the scene and like the digital art, people were saying what they were saying now about AI. They were bitching about it then.
Yeah, and I remember.
It's cheating then.
I remember because I was working actually at the time on Disney Comics, and there was a transition period from traditional color to digital color, and a lot of people got left behind. A lot of traditional colorists got left behind because they didn't keep up with the digital tools. And
but you knew how to do the digital tools.
Right.
And back then, a lot of people did it.
No. And
so here we are.
It was a lot more cost prohibitive too. Like anybody can afford pencils and paper, but back then you had to be able to buy, like a Wacom tablet and a computer set up and
know how to use it.
And you had to know how to use it. And a lot of people, I'm going to be honest, we're going to talk comics specifically because we're talking about conventions, but a lot of people in the comic book industry totally got left behind because they did not adapt to a digital workflow. Now, I could sit here and point out the parallels, but I think it's pretty obvious. But
you would think
people will try to argue with us, but I'm like, no, this has happened before. I've seen it happen before. I think what could potentially happen though, this is where it gets really weird. We just had a whole discussion. We were talking about on Twitter. You can go out to our Twitter and see, but we had a commenter who commented on the other AI art video, the DragonCon video, saying that this is art theft, but it was fair use if you're doing prints or whatever at con.
No.
I'm like, no, and that's what could potentially happen here is if you start calling attention to art theft, and the majority, not everybody, but the majority of people tabling in Artist Alley are technically art thieves. They're technically selling bootleg merchandise using characters that they do not own. Fair use is not going to cover you there unless it's just an outright parody, and it's a very obvious parody.
I know people that draw the characters in their own style so that you can tell it's not
official.
Yes. Those people want to talk about it. And honestly, I personally don't think fan art is an issue. People do it all the time. I don't see a problem with it. But that being said, legally, if companies wanted to enforce it, they could. There was talk about that being a case several years ago that Disney was going to go to like San Diego Comic Con
big conventions,
and start enforcing
Star Wars,
that.
Marvel, yep.
And there were conventions that they were going around and taking down certain anime characters. You remember?
Yes.
Because they didn't have the rights to it, and those rights holders did fight it. I know things like online, like Etsy and places like that, they can take your stuff down because it's copyrighted. Even if you do the art, it's still copyright infringement. So no, you can't go to court and say it's fair use, because it's not fair use if it looks exactly like the character and like it could be right from the company who owns it. It's also not an argument. The same person was making the argument, well, it's commentary, and since it's commentary, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm like, dude, you stretched so hard, I pulled a muscle on that one.
And I mean, I get it, because a lot of people are like, oh shit, the AI can do it faster, better than I can in a lot of cases. But I'm like, if we start making the case for, it being art theft, this could, I'm going to be honest, this could potentially open up a whole can of worms that winds up seeing all these print walls, and a lot of people feel great about that, all these walls of prints getting torn down at conventions because it's all characters that these people do not own. Now, I'm not talking about the people selling their own stuff. I'm not talking about people doing occasional sketches of characters, whatever. But if your entire business model, and this has irritated me for years, I gotta be honest, this is like, I always thought it was very, very weird that this was allowed. And the only reason it is allowed is because the rights holders haven't enforced their legal right, because it's not worth it to them. It's not worth it to spend thousands and thousands, not yet, but it's not worth it to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to shut somebody down that might not even cover their table, for a weekend.
Now, there have been cases where they did go after people, and we know the anime characters. The anime characters were one of them, because their rights holders were like wanting it taken down. And there's conventions that were telling you couldn't sell stuff. That being said, Disney is currently, Universal and Disney are suing that AI company we talked about before.
Yeah.
And they're suing it, and one of them suing them, and we talked about it in another video, you can go find it. And one of the reasons they were suing was because their AI could generate characters that, although different, looked close enough like their characters that it could be mistaken as official art. And that's with AI. And now Disney and Universal themselves are going to use AI, but they don't want anybody else to use their characters in AI. They have to do it. So if they're going to start cracking down on AI, it could pique their attention to look outside of these things, that people are selling artwork of characters they own that look just like the characters.
Yes.
And if it's too good, it might cause you problems.
I think
that's the only thing we're saying.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And I think what's going to happen is now they're going to pay attention. Now they're going to try to lock down the look of the characters. So they're going to start going to conventions. And it might be that they don't care. Like, if you're selling bootleg Deadpool merchandise, they don't care if you drew it yourself or if Chat GPT did it. They're going to be like, you cannot sell this stuff. We forbid it. We will not send our people to your convention if you let people in Artist Alley do it. And then what could eventually happen, and we're kind of seeing this now. Like, I know they were having a huge fit at Fan Expo about the Bell Canada, and they're like, oh my God, the corporations. What if they just get rid of Artist Alley completely because it's not worth it to the convention runners to play with fire with these corporations, because they might start cracking down on all of it?
Well, here, even better. If corporations are coming in and using AI to generate you as a character, who's to say that like Disney and stuff isn't going to send AI generators out and you could just order a print right on the spot and have it printed for you?
Oh, they're already doing so. Yeah, for those of you who are like, oh, that's stupid, they would never do that. No, actually, Disney right now is selling print-on-demand T-shirts and stuff on Amazon.
Yeah, they've been, and for a while now, if people have had things on Etsy, and if they were popular enough in the parks, suddenly a knockoff of the person's Etsy stuff appears in the store, and their argument's going to be, well, we own the character.
Yes,
they don't own the art. They technically don't own that person's art.
Yes.
They own the character.
That's
Yep. That's what the argument they're trying to make is, well, it's my version of the character. It's my artistic interpretation, so they don't own my art. And you're right. They don't own your art. They do not own a copyright in your art. However, they can demand you stop selling them, and they can go after you for it because you are selling art of copyrighted things. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying personally I think that you shouldn't be able to do that, because I think people create really, really amazing things at conventions. Heck, I've been guilty of selling things that were, basically, my version. or a chibified version of something that was an IP character. I've done it. I can't say I didn't. You used to do Disney stuff, but you also had permission to do it. But
well, yeah, I had some permission. Now that's the thing too. Like sometimes if you work on you can actually make an arrangement with, or they just turn, like with Don Rosa, they don't care if he's selling duck stuff because whatever, it's Don Rosa's duck stuff. They don't really care, and they're not gonna what a bad look it would be to go after Don Rosa. Try to sue Don Rosa.
A lot of times their artists are allowed to sell originals or prints. Then a lot of times they'll make an agreement with Disney, and Disney gets a cut.
Yes,
that happens often.
Marvel does this. Sometimes DC does this. What I'm talking about people that a lot of them don't even do comics or haven't done comics in years, and they got like a wall of prints. It's all like Deadpool, Harley Quinn, Batgirl, and it's like straight up, like it looks like a cover of a comic book. And some of these people are, look, this isn't a knock against their talent. Some of these people are incredibly talented, but it doesn't change the fact that the law doesn't give a shit about your feelings. And
you're only getting away with it because that doesn't enough of a hassle for them to enforce it.
And they might wake up this AI situation. I'm gonna be honest, this AI situation and them trying to clamp down on,
especially Disney and Universal are clamping down on
images of their characters. They're going to I think they're going to look a lot. They're going to be like, okay, well, unless this is actually licensed Disney stuff, licensed Universal stuff, whatever, nobody can sell any bootleg, whatever. We don't care if it's AI generated. We don't care if you made a Deadpool out of toothpicks. If you're mass producing stuff and you're selling it at a show.
They care more about the stuff that looks like it could be from them, though, I think. I mean, it looks like it could be official. That they care more about that. But my point stands about the AI here. So it's good that cons are making their AI stance clear. That I think is one of the problems they had to do.
Yes,
100% agree with them. If they're telling you no AI, that's why I asked the Dragon Con, did they tell you no AI? Because they had it in their policy. Then they are within their rights to tell you to leave. If they didn't, they're opening themselves up to problems.
So I've heard 2 different versions or 3 different versions of the story. Some people said, they knew you weren't allowed to do AI, but people said, no, it wasn't actually in the vendor contract. And basically what happened was people complained, got him booted, saying he was basically selling bootleg merchandise as he's tabled next to somebody with a bunch of DC Comics prints.
That's our point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, if you're gonna, but then the guy, I guess, was
both are theft.
Yeah, I guess the guy was being belligerent, and then that's when they called the cops in.
Okay, I would have figured it had to be something with belligerent.
Yeah, you don't just call the cops in to be like, art thief.
That's awfully excessive. That being said, what I'm saying is the cons are making it very clear. That's great. But here's where there's a problem. AI can be used as a tool. AI can be taught, and I'm sorry, sit and spin if you're going to sit there and bitch about it. You could totally train an AI on your stuff and have it draw on your style.
Yes,
totally possible. You can use it to like tweak things or
not out of the box. You gotta know what you're doing.
No. But I'm just saying, it can be used as a tool. I think completely generating stuff with AI and then turning around and selling it at conventions. I get where they're coming from on that. That's kind of crap. I am not for that. I am for using it as a tool. That being said, you're going to argue that's art theft to use the AI stuff when you literally have a wall of art theft behind you. It's like, why is one thievery and one isn't? That doesn't make any sense other than you're all threatened by the AI. And the next thing is, so I'm like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you want to be pissed about AI or pissed about art theft, then stop being an art thief yourself.
Yeah, that's the only point I'm trying to make. Like, this isn't even from where I'm sitting. This is coming from people who tabled at conventions for years. It was one of our primary sources of income for years. All I am saying is you can hate AI. You can hate everybody who does it. That's fine. I'm not arguing whether or not AI art is good or bad. That's not the argument. The argument I'm trying to make is, if you're going to try to take the moral high ground and your argument is basically like, well, I drew this by hand, so it's real art, not stolen art. I'm like, well, if you're drawing somebody else's characters, you're mass producing it and you're selling it, guess what? You're an art thief too.
Yes, exactly. Or you're using the wall of art prints you didn't even draw. That's like worse. A double whammy.
And that's what gets me too, is like sometimes those people get busted and they get thrown out of conventions because it's like, but I have seen so many vendors with those walls of prints, and a lot of those prints are not their prints.
And the art style doesn't even match.
It doesn't even match.
Here's the thing. That one's the one that I think is most like the situation. Because I remember a lot of cons were banning that for a while, and people were out there narking on people, and they assumed had prints that weren't theirs, okay? And they were trying to get them removed from conventions. Because they have this weird headspace that if they're not there, they're going to buy from you. That does not... Just because they're not there doesn't mean that people are going to give you money either. Okay. I'm pointing that out. But like this AI issue, what I'm concerned about, and this is my point from yesterday too, people, using it as a tool isn't a big deal, but people are drawing things now that are being accused of using AI, even if they aren't. How do you prove that it isn't AI if you're being put on the spot and someone's demanding that you used AI and trying to get you removed from convention and their thing says no AI? How are they proving that that's AI? Because, it could be their art style. It could be that they drew it and you think it's too good, but that doesn't mean that they didn't do it. So if someone accuses you of having AI at a convention, how do you prove that you didn't do it?
Well, okay, so then the argument they had for a while was, well, you got to show a speed draw. You have to do a time-lapse drawing of you. So you have to like document
every piece.
But now you can fake those videos too. So now I'm like, what? Okay, so what is the next step? You have to have somebody videotape you drawing your shit. Like, I mean, it's going to get to point for a $20 print. I mean, it's going to get to a place where it's like, okay, now it's just ridiculous. I think you can just kind of guesstimate. And I think in some levels you have to just kind of take their word for it, because digital art, painted art looks damn near identical to AI art, because the AI trained off of the massive amounts of digital art on the internet. So of course it does.
Well, that's why I always like people who do fan art and do fan characters, but they do it in their style. Because, in that case, I would give you the pass on that one, because you're drawing the character, but it's not the character.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I was thinking about that in my head. But yeah, this whole thing is, short of having you have to sit there and draw the characters out in front of everybody to show that was your art style. And even then, people probably drawing stuff and doing most of it and then using AI to give it some finishing touches. How are you going to know?
That's the thing.
It's a witch hunt. It's an unfair witch hunt that's going to result in people who are innocent being accused.
And it's going to end with, that's like, okay, it's like, you're a teacher, so you've got two kids starting a fight and you have no way to prove who started the fight. You stick them both in detention because you don't know who started the fight.
But yeah, you're going to have to, because you totally get to the bottom of it. And I mean, unless one person's clearly the aggressor.
Yeah, but it's if you don't know how it started, how the fight started, all
these send them to the office and let them figure it out.
Yeah, all the companies are going to do, or all these convention owners are going to do, are going to be like, you know what? I don't want to deal with the headache. I don't want to have to get, calls from, Disney legal. I don't want to have to deal with it. So yeah, you're allowed to have artist alley. You can table as long as it's your own creations. If we go around and we see you're selling Spider-Man prints or whatever, you're gonna have to take them down.
What's going to happen is people that you're getting kicked out of the events because the AI, who's to say they aren't going to take pictures of your work and call Disney legal, or call
they probably
DC
will,
and say, hey, did you know these people are selling these at this convention?
They're asleep. They've been asleep for, well, actually, no, they paid attention to the bigger shows.
Trust me.
They're aware of it, and there hasn't been a reason really to pull the trigger on it. But I'm telling you, this AI thing and them wanting to lock down the look of their characters, this could be the catalyst that leads to the end of the print walls. So, like, I guess my thing is, like, be careful what you wish for. You might get AI art banned from conventions. You might also get your own stuff banned from conventions in the process. Kind of like eBay would do that too. Like, if you would narc on a seller or something, they would like ban your account.
They could if they looked into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, you gotta be careful what you wish for. Anyway, let's talk about this. God, 18 minutes and we're gonna get to
we're
this.
Gonna talk about more. I thought we already talked about it.
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about the announcement at GalaxyCon.
We did already. We said that they're having an AI ban at all their shows.
We didn't read the announcement. So basically, zero policy, zero tolerance for it. And this
again, how do you prove it?
How you prove it? They said this is coming from Mike Broder, the founder and president. GalaxyCon has a long, proud history of supporting artists and their creativity. We will continue to do so as the fight against unethical AI continues.
Good, cool. GalaxyCon, are you going to fight against IP theft?
Look, we actually went to GalaxyCon not too long ago, and it was a good show. I got to meet Jim Shooter there. I talked to him for a while. Thank God, because he passed, RIP. But I got to talk to him for a good while. And they have a huge artist alley. But I'm telling you, 95% of what I saw in Artist Alley was bootleg merch. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking not just prints. We're talking keychains. We're talking stickers. We're talking.
Yeah, of course. We know it's like they do that. And again, like, I don't have a problem with it personally. You don't have a problem with it personally. We're just saying,
We're not large multi-billion-dollar
hypocrisy
corporations.
The hypocrisy is glaring.
Yeah. All I'm saying in all of this, guys, and I'm not saying you have to like AI. I'm not. That's actually a
We don't even agree on it. You and I don't even agree on it.
I view it as a tool. I don't agree with swiping other people's stuff. I think it's going to be a powerful tool, but we don't have it quite figured out just yet, or people are not using it correctly. They're not using it ethically, and that's a whole nother discussion. In this case, be careful what you wish for. You start narking on people, I think it's going to boomerang, and it's going to wind up causing the whole Artist Alley thing to implode.
Right.
Or you're going to come up with your own characters, you know?
Especially if it turns out you accuse people of doing something when they didn't do it, and it leads to a whole bunch of wrongful accusations and people getting wrongfully removed. You're asking for trouble. So anyway, can we wrap this up?
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. There we go. And I'm sure we're going to get all kinds of shit in the comments from people who didn't watch the video.
You know what? That's okay. We get paid. So knock yourself out. Chat
Complain
away.
Complain away. It's engagement. We'll take care of engagement pennies. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.